What if there was an object so sacred, so powerful, that it represented the very presence of God on earth? An object that led armies, stopped rivers, and struck fear into entire nations. Today, we're diving deep into the full history and origin of the Ark of the Covenant, from its divine design to its mysterious disappearance. The story of the Ark of the Covenant begins during one of the most pivotal moments in biblical history, when God delivered the Israelites from slavery in Egypt through his servant Moses. After their escape, they journeyed into the wilderness to Mount Sinai, where God established his covenant with them. It was here that God gave Moses very specific and detailed instructions, not just for laws, but for building a sacred object that would symbolize his presence among his people. God commanded that the ark be constructed out of acacia wood, a durable and resistant material, and then overlaid inside and out with pure gold. The ark was to be rectangular, roughly 4 feet long, 2.5 feet wide, and 2.5 feet high. It was not just a box, it was a sacred throne. On top of it sat the mercy seat, made of pure gold, with 2 cherubim facing each other, their wings stretched upward and overshadowing the cover. This was the place where God said he would meet with Moses. Inside the ark were placed some of the most sacred items in Israelite history. The stone tablets of the 10 Commandments, also given to Moses on Mount Sinai, were placed inside as the foundation of God's covenant. Later, according to Scripture, Aaron's rod that miraculously budded and a jar of manna, the bread from heaven that sustained the Israelites in the wilderness, were also kept within it. The ark was housed inside the tabernacle, a portable sanctuary that traveled with the Israelites during their 40 years in the wilderness. Only the high priest could approach it, and only once a year on the Day of Atonement, emphasizing its holiness and the seriousness of approaching God. As the Israelites moved toward the Promised Land, the ark played a central role in demonstrating God's power. When they reached the Jordan River under the leadership of Joshua, the priests carrying the ark stepped into the water, and the river stopped flowing, allowing the people to cross on dry ground. Later, during the Battle of Jericho, the ark was carried around the city walls for 7 days, and on the 7th day, the walls collapsed, marking one of the most famous victories in biblical history. However, the ark was not a tool to be used lightly. There were moments when its power brought judgment rather than victory. During a time of spiritual decline, the Israelites carried the ark into battle against the Philistines, treating it like a good luck charm rather than a sacred symbol. The result was devastating. The ark was captured by the Philistines, a shocking event that showed that God's presence could not be manipulated. Yet even in captivity, the ark displayed its power. Wherever the Philistines placed it, their idols fell and plagues broke out among the people. Eventually, they returned the ark to Israel, recognizing that they were dealing with something far beyond their control. The ark would later find a more permanent home under King David, who brought it to Jerusalem with great celebration. However, even then, its holiness was evident. When a man named Uzzah touched the ark to steady it, he was struck down, reinforcing the sacred boundaries surrounding it. It was ultimately placed in the temple built by Solomon, David's son. Inside the Holy of Holies, the innermost chamber of the temple, the ark rested as the central symbol of God's covenant and presence among his people. But then, something mysterious happens. After centuries of being the most sacred object in Israel, the Ark of the Covenant disappears from the biblical record. When the Babylonians, led by King Nebuchadnezzar, destroyed Jerusalem and the temple in 586 BC, the Ark is not mentioned among the captured treasures. This absence has led to centuries of speculation. Some believe it was hidden by priests to protect it from destruction. Others suggest it may have been taken and lost, or even destroyed. There are traditions that claim it was taken to places like Ethiopia, where some believe it resides to this day. Yet historically and biblically, its final location remains unknown. What remains clear is that the ark was never just about the object itself. It represented God's covenant, his law, his mercy, and his presence with his people. Its story is not just about where it was, but what it meant. The Ark of the Covenant stands as one of the greatest mysteries in history, a sacred symbol of divine presence that shaped nations and inspired generations. Whether hidden, lost, or waiting to be discovered, its story continues to capture the imagination of the world. And maybe the real question isn't where the Ark is today, but what it represented all along. If this deep dive opened your eyes, make sure to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more powerful biblical insight.